Já está resolvido.
How long does it take most people to finish the game? Oh yeah, roughly 50 hours. What? Take Shadow of the Colossus for a second. There's a lot of elements in that game that are similar to Death Stranding, but it all feels like it has greater purpose. Not only because you get a totally epic and unforgettable boss waiting for you after the long empty treks, but you feel the isolation and get the point that the game wants to hammer into you. It wants you to experience the downtime to strengthen the narrative. It makes you realize how small you are. You question if you're doing the right thing, and you feel everything it needs you to feel in 6 to 8 hours. That's how long it needs. It doesn't overstay its welcome and provides an experience that isn't conventionally very action-packed or thrilling for a long run. Now imagine if Shadow of the Colossus lasted for 50 hours, and maybe you'll see what my issue. But Death Stranding succeeds at making you feel a certain emotion in its gameplay, but in my opinion it takes it way too far. I don't see the artistic value in making the gameplay as dull as it is for this long, making the scope this huge, especially when there's a very interesting story accompanying it that I'd like to see very much. And if I was supposed to question anything on these tracks, all I wondered about was if there was an apocalypse in the future, with the only thing left be Monster Energy. Monster Energy? It gives you the strength and energy to throw the rest of it away. I can't even say it's like one of those truck simulator games where the entire point is to just drive for hours on end in real time, because at least there you know what you're getting. You're buying a simulator, and typically once you're set up in a simulator, you can allow yourself to zone out and just enjoy the minimalism and simplicity. You can relax here, and I would say the same for Death Stranding, except there's too much maintenance and babysitting going on, which never allowed me to enjoy my surroundings or get lost in the atmosphere. There's so many gauges, meters, menus, worrying about staying with packages, stress levels of your baby, staying with your shoes, stopping and starting to grab more packages and life-saving supplies, stamina refilling, building items to climb difficult terrain easier, and even a balance mechanic that you constantly need to correct by either holding each trigger down every so often to shift the weight of your deliveries on your back, or by holding both triggers down all of the time to keep your balance but slow you right down. All of this stuff in any other context would be depth, but here it's just the game nagging at me when I'm already bored, just running every minute. They were annoyances and interruptions more than management mechanics to me, and I couldn't get sucked into the world. The names in this game are bloody dumb. Die Hard. What's that about? We're just putting movie titles as names in our games now and then adding man on the end? But that's the case. Where's Shrimp Tumor? The first time in the game I felt like any kind of meaningful stakes were on the line came into me at the 6.5 hour mark. No, I'm not joking. That was the first time I felt engaged with the game like I was affecting something. It was 5 hours before I found my first vehicle to make travel faster and easier. It was 8 hours before I could use a projectile weapon to deal with groups of enemies much faster. It was 8.5 hours before I could start building my own vehicles in case my current one got destroyed on the battery ran out and I couldn't build a generator at that time. But ultimately, these upgrades don't matter to me, because whether you're using a vehicle, creating ladders to break with easy climbing, using exoskeletons to carry more and run faster, breaking your base whenever it's stressed, or even taking advantage of the online features to give items to other players or share vehicles and even build new structures to make traveling easier, it's all to facilitate the same exact pedestrian gameplay you've been doing for hours and hours beforehand, but just slightly faster. And it even extends to the side quests, which are just more and more deliveries, exactly what you're doing in the main quest. None of the new mechanics or upgrades improved my experience, it just made it less painful, as painful as some of the glitches I found. No, not as painful as them. I mean, they're funny and everything, but they also totally messed up what I was in the middle of doing, so that's not great, is it, Sonny Jim? Jeez Louise, look at me go! Also, Noz Rija is disgusting.
Isso mesmo, pessoal, conseguimos boys.
So much like how the game is supposed to make you feel totally alone and everything as an individual, there are some glimmers of hope in the form of other online players delivering other things at the same time as you, just not in your world. Linking into the theme of technology and connectivity in the story, you can all leave signs for each other for hints and tell each other to not give up, build bridges for easy crossing of canyons, leave ladders online to get across deep bodies of water, and even work together to complete construction of loads of different travel routes by chipping in your own collected resources. resources. This stuff is all useful, and it was nice to see how far other people would go to make sure your own deliveries are made as smooth as possible. And I also like being told to keep on keeping on every so often. It's supposed to make you think about how amazing connectivity is, how social interaction is important, even if you never see it affecting.
If we could just stop by to pick up some sticks, I'm gonna kill somebody.
Just because you only do things for other players for the sake of getting more likes to increase your rank and get more items, meaning it's ultimately selfish, but in hindsight, it's also depressing because it only served to remind me that I'm not the only one boring myself to tears running around a load of rocks for 2 hours at a time. Not even the incredible visuals and use of music gripped me. It just made me think, I'd rather just go out myself, get some exercise, and look at the wonders of nature in real life. So I did. Shut up! These are
somebody there?
There was Somerset, England, and became a tourist attraction once archaeologists established the
shut up before I turn you into
living
meatloaf.
inside them with a perfectly spherical crystal ball. Starting the legend of the
Shit, there they are.
The caves are
Now I got you, you skinny little prick.
Shed of Gorge, a colossal series of limestone valleys that remind me a lot of Death Stranding visuals. That's Keris. Say hello, Keris. Hey. Did you also know that level 2 of the NES game Battletoads
Kill him, you idiots!
Caves, and not after Star Wars like everyone seems to think? Well, that was fun, wasn't it? Back to peeing on a rock.
Caddy, what the hell are you doing?
Leave me alone! I'm pretending I'm in Death Stranding!
No.
I've seen human enemies many a time before in other games, and honestly, yeah, I can't say much about them here. The stealth works fine, the combat works fine, the idea of them looking to steal packages and you being able to steal their stuff to return is fine. So what about the more interesting aspect of the game? The BT, what do they do? This is one of the things the game has been done now. The entire section of stealth is built on the building from the point towards the actual radar partner and they explode. You have to remain still, hold your breath if they get too close. Again, if these encounters are quick, the game goes on, I don't care, because in my opinion it takes way too long for that to happen in that instance. Where I thought, if these things pose barely any kind of threat at all, then aren't that creepy? Most of you can't see anything. Every single encounter of BTs for me wasn't a nail-biting life-or-death situation, it was a delay. You know when you play Slender, and whenever you see the Slender Man, you just need to go the opposite direction? That's exactly
Shouldn't
what you
get
do
too close.
here. It's a
I gotta make sure Luca doesn't see me.
Sat nav due to a road blockage you can't see. They're slow, not very excited, not tense, and oh my god, if you have a vehicle on you, you can just drive by them out of the air in the world, totally breaking this mechanic in half. The only part where I felt any kind of tension or planning was this part here, where I tried to bike up a rocky island like a dumbass and ended up getting caught by the BTs. I lost my bike, a ton of packages fell off my back, and then I was randomly swept away back down the hill straight into the mouth of this giant quick-faced wave. This bit was fantastic. I was lost, confused, freaking out, and then I escaped the thing. Only to see my bike return with all of my missing packages and nothing else was affected. It was just an inconvenience. Again, it was just a delay. And even better, after going through all of this, I still ended up S-ranking the delivery anyway, so again, I wondered what it knew the point of the BTs were. In fact, whether it was a side quest or main quest, whatever happened to me, however long it took, however far I travelled, I still ended up S-ranking practically every single delivery I did. I just kept on S-ranking, and that's comical. I don't know why I was S-ranking, so every single one felt like a hollow victory. In fact, when it came to another part later on, I even let the BTs deliberately catch me just to see if I could get another one of those cool oily squid whales. And I didn't, but I got this cool looking thing instead, and I was stocked up on weapons to fight it. So instead of running away like last time, I was able to fight it, and I had fun at this point. I had to let the bad guys nearly kill me in order to feel engaged with what I was doing. The real funny thing about all this, though, is that I tried being clever on the first boss. The main bad guy, he knew that I should let him beat me if I was crying and crying and wishing for an end to it all.
Brewski's junkyard, man. Mike doesn't get involved in shit like this.
You know what I did? I figured, this is a Kojima game. The dude is famous for putting wacky Easter eggs and clever, awful, breaking boss level solutions in his game. So I tried something a little funny here. I thought, how about I let the boss raptor thing? And you know what happened when I let it do that? I died, got a game over, and had to restart. I thought that might have been the point. I thought I was supposed to be tired of the grind.
Slaughterhouse, of course. Looks like Eddie was right.
If something happened. Secret dialogue,
Okay,
a trophy.
I gotta get in there without being seen.
A new pair of pants I could wear in the game, anything. But no, I just got a game over. So in the end, in a game where I'm supposed to be fighting the bad guys, I ended up agreeing with the
Maybe
bad
that
guys.
looks like I can
I said
pry
at the
this
beginning
off.
of this video, though, this emotion from me right now is all stemming from disappointment. because I can see every single thing the game does brilliantly. I don't hate Death Stranding at all.
Jesus
But I just
Christ, that
don't understand
reeks.
why it takes so long to get going, or why it fights with you for as long as it does, and it just completely lost me. And when I mentioned this on Twitter, loads of people were telling me, oh, just give it one more hour, but that's not the point, because I'm giving one more hour of an already 9 to 10 hour journey
that dog
that I
could be a
didn't
problem.
enjoy, so I don't think the game has earned any more of my own time. And personally, if I was looking for one particular thing out of a game, everything that Death Stranding had to offer me so far has been done better with a variety of other games already. Do I want a walking simulator that takes its minimalistic gameplay, organically keeps it and doesn't cost anywhere near as much? I'll play Firewatch. Do I want an utterly giant open world with ridiculous scope?
Ja sabiam que ali há uma revista
Just
também.
stop by to pick up some sticks
I'll
and
play
kill
Breath of the
somebody.
Wild. Do I want to feel totally alone, but with the subtle online mechanics working in the background, centered around me being able to help other players in other games while remaining in single player, and with this distant sense of camaraderie as the other players leave me hints and messages to remind me that I'm not as alone as I feel? I'll play Dark Souls. Do I want stealth mechanics in a huge open world with endless possibilities? I'll play Metal Gear Solid 5, another Kojima game.
Shut up.
For eye
Look,
candy. Do I
somebody
want
there?
something that just looks breathtaking and nothing else,
Somebody there,
but
see?
also has better animation,
shut up before we
realism,
turn you
and
into
reactive
meat.
environment, and has a more engrossing truckload of gameplay possibilities.
Shit, there they are.
Story, I'll play Red Dead
Now I
Redemption
got you,
2.
you skinny little prick.
Seriously, those tripping over animations in Death Stranding are downright laughable, and when you jump around the world, you look like a member of the Goof Troop. Not even open. If you're asking me, the characters and the world are all that Death Stranding really has going for it, at least where I decided
Okay,
to stop playing, where I
time to
couldn't
move.
take anymore. Well, that's the BB noises coming out of the controller, that's pretty cute. Which means I'm not entirely done with Death Stranding just yet. I think I just might watch a couple of cutscene sets on YouTube or something. I don't want to play the game anymore. And while I'm watching those cutscenes, I'm going to be drinking Monster Energy, the sponsors of today's video. Subscribe. Hello, I'm hiding in the dark.
Yeah.
Because I think I might have made a few enemies from this video, but
like
this is
Tony
what I
King
did.
was
This video has been brought to you today by Hims. Please stay tuned until the end of this video near the outtakes to find out a little bit more.
Just having one fucking smoke. Relax.
Will be blurred tonight. On the PS4. Fuck off! Maybe I'm not cut out to be an outlaw after all.
Hey, what was that screaming?
What?
So, you still thinking about quitting?
Red Dead Redemption, as far as I'm concerned, was a complete classic from the previous generation of consoles. And even though I do enjoy GTA to an extent, and LA Noire is a masterpiece for another time, once Rockstar announced they were working on Red Dead Redemption 2, that was the thing I was really desperate for. After all these years waiting, I'm immensely shocked to say
Shift's over.
I found Red Dead
What do you
Redemption
mean,
2
shift's over?
You got shit in your ears? You said you're done for today.
Intelligently.
Don't make me say it again.
And I say this to someone who was massively skeptical to the fact this was going to be a prequel to
Be right
I
there.
mean, yeah, obviously, you can't follow what transpires at the end of the original game without upsetting a lot of people, because the entire point of that game was about the collapse of the Wild West and the rise of civilization. You were John Marston, a former outlaw blackmailed by the government to hunt down the remaining members of his gang from the past to save his captured family, because the government was desperate to take over every last ounce of violent freedom the outlaws feel their entitlement to. And of course, how far John himself was willing to take, redeem himself. Ultimately, it's hard to have happy ending for any character you wrote. Following that on with another game about a gang of outlaws wouldn't fit in whatsoever in the timeline after what happened in the last. But the game ends in 1914 anyway, so the possibilities of what you could actually do as an outlaw would be slim to say the least. And that's what I wasn't sure about initially. Once I heard about the characters featured in the new game, many of the story beats in Red Dead Redemption 2 were totally open by the mere existence of a foreign story, meaning that you know more or less exactly what is going to most of the game players by the end. But this doesn't mean that a fantastic effective story can't be told. I'm immensely glad to say that Red Dead Redemption 2 and provides so much brilliantly detailed context and background on all the characters I loved and hated in Red Dead 1 that I struggled to even care about what I already knew. Aside from that, as a game, Red Dead 2 is an incredible Wild West outlaw action-adventure game. The level of depth to the atmosphere and how well it succeeds in making you feel like a struggling and oppressed outlaw. That's what
Wrong guys,
just look at
asshole.
how realistic this game is at Five-Finger Fillet.
You get me down,
So today, I'm going to
Thanks,
review
Vito.
a few
We owe
more.
you
I
one.
suppose it goes without saying
Eddie
that
send
there
you?
are going
Yeah,
to be
he noticed he was a
gameplay
couple of guys shy at roll call.
video, but I'm going to keep certain takes of certain characters
Poor Frankie.
completely out of this video.
I'm
not
gonna
going to
kill
ruin
that
any
son
of
of a
the
bitch.
character quest lines or anything like that and what happens to specific characters. I'm just going to be
Beans,
talking about the game
stay
as a
here
whole
and don't
not
come out
ruin
till we
the
come
major
get you.
plot. But you know, still, just to be safe, in case you want to go in completely blind, spoilers, alright, okay. And hey, if you didn't enjoy this game, that's completely fine as well. I'm not here to tell you I mean, I would take what I say that seriously anyway.
Not bad, kid. Not bad.
In Red Dead 2, you take control of Arthur Morgan. He's a fiercely loyal, briny, humorous, and vital asset to the same gang you end up
All right,
down
Vito,
as John
let's
Marston
get that
in the
little
original
fuck.
Red Dead. Led by Dutch Vanderlyn before he went crazy and started recruiting Native Americans to harass the townsfolk for giggles. The story sees you going through a chunk of Arthur's life from the moment the gang
Little
starts
cocksucker's gonna piss his pants.
robbery in a town known as Blackwater. With every effort of the gang trying to stick together and pull off more illegal stunts,
Yeah,
their
they
escape
are.
bringing in worse returns
And guess
to
who's
more and
next?
more blood. Eventually until the gang gets banned because there's literally no point in fighting
Shit,
the
too late.
speed of the
Here they come.
a bit of a by the original Red Dead. That doesn't mean I didn't absolutely bloody love the story here. Honestly, couldn't see where much I found it extremely impressive. Hilarious, heartwarming, gritty, awful, and truly tragic all in a series of simplicity urine that I like to see. And as someone who adores the character of Master of Red Dead 1 and did he bloody well did.
Come here, you little faggot. Come on, Vito, show him what you got.
I love his dry wit, his shit,
Now that's some good shooting, kid. Bring it on, asshole.
You really feel for the dude, you know? No matter what atrocities he would be a part of in the story, you felt his humanity and morality struggling against his no matter how bad he was fighting against the
Hey, douchebag, I'm over here. Asshole, come and play Come on, I'm going
When
in.
the game unravels, the plot too is extremely natural and great stuff. You spend a lot of time during quests.
Hey, Vito, let's go, come on. What are you, a Girl Scout?
Making any eventual betrayals, deaths, kidnaps, or more, even more guns. And aside from the sort of bad apples looking at you like it is really poorly grounded in local characters. The whole game are outlaws themselves, despite how far civilization is.
Vito, show me.
Everything he does in this game is completely understandable and justifiable, but my God, it's such a bloody
Hey, nice shot,
bastard.
kid.
And it's his
Go,
partner in
Vito,
this game who
move.
becomes the next bastard in the original Red Dead. So that's how much of a
asshole,
bastard
bring
he
it
is. It's not on to other people. It's all
One more to go.
All the characters in the gang as well, no matter how small a role they play in the plot, I ended up remembering, which doesn't ever really happen to me in modern games. They all have completely different personalities, distinct senses of humor, and the game as a whole does a great job of showing us what many of the characters in Red Dead were like
All right.
in their heyday,
Nice
how the
job.
American landscape
Now
changed
let's go
as
get
the
that
world went
little
near and came
cocksucker.
to a close, and puts a different spin on everything in Red Dead 1. Seeing Dutch, for instance, one of the nastiest assholes in Red Dead 1, go from a genuinely lovable and
knock.
charismatic leader to a
Come on.
hate-filled
Let me
psychopath
in.
is extremely depressing. And Arthur's entire story arc is even more depressing, despite the fact he's a new character to the franchise. Especially with how he helped out many of the gang members get out as things turned to shit, and the amount of guys he gives John Marston ready for an eventual redemption was not just for his actions as an outlaw, but the treatment of his family too. And because of that, I was a little shocked to see some of the scenes with John, to be honest. Not because he's horrible or anything, but because he
I ain't gonna be able to open it like
at the
this.
start of Red Dead 2
Yeah, we need something heavy,
compared to the
like
start
a
of Red Dead 1.
battering
The themes of
ram.
the changing times are hammered in great
I know.
gameplay too.
We'll use that cart.
Keep your bounty as low as you possibly can, but story missions, like it or not, force you into situations as part of a rebelling outlaw gang too stubborn and too far gone to bow down to changing rules. Get bounties regardless, the game is made just that little
Think
bit
you're so
harder.
fucking smart, huh? Go ahead, try.
You can't just keep paying off your bounties and remain clean. There's this constant struggle between the law and the lawless. gets more and more extreme as the game continues. Eventually, culminating in scenes where slow as more and more innocent people die at the point of Dutch slowly losing his
Bruh,
mind.
morreu.
You truly feel the weight of that. So much so that the game ended up depressing you with its incredibly done tonal shift. It's not like one sad moment after another sad moment. It's more of a collection of moments that pile on top of each other and then just all fall to pieces. All in all, it paints an overwhelmingly bleak picture of what the Wild West was more like instead of this delusional, romanticized version that Dutch and many of his followers still believed and lived. Before anything else gameplay-wise, I really must praise the agonizing level of detail in this game, and that's another thing that makes me feel comfortable in saying
O meu veículo foi parar por aqui porquê?
the attention to detail here is absolutely things that I personally they are felt eerily real in the insane down a steep
Agora vamos ver se a cutscene muda. Se eu for primeiro comprar as roupas limpas ao invés de comprar isto. Vamos ver.
Let's make it quick.
Also, if you're having a conversation with someone else on horseback, you have regular loud-ish talking volumes if you ride alongside them.
Did you two ever think about getting out of the lot?
We did briefly. You don't remember? But if you drop back too far in the middle of a sentence, not only will you get the typical Uncharted 4 and God of War PS4 trick of having the characters ask you where they last were before being separated, but if you're just close enough before that happens, you'll continue speaking and shouting in the same for how far away you are.
Why are you getting involved in this, Dutch? You know me. We shoot, fella.
In pursuit of a hit-and-run driver. Copy that. Some guy here just assaulted an officer. Roger that.
Eles estão a exagerar muito o que aconteceu, Fónix.
Until the morning. And that particularly impressed me because that's exactly what I do in real life. And as for the visuals and music, shit, the bed is incredible in both departments. Music here has one of the most varied and interactive score I've heard in a long time, with a spectrum of emotions and totally badass being covered with the same instruments for radically different scenarios. And hey, there's tracks that actually sing. That is Italian kiss, some of the best quality graphics I've ever seen in my life. 61% on Metacritic, 5 stars. Pre-order a Target now and get exclusive half nappy. And it isn't just in visual safety, it's not working with life and way more corners even in desolate wastelands. But it can be downright violent, nasty, may occasionally accentuate the position of being how horrible the life is now. With some of the details found around the world as well, it doesn't hold back on what some humans are capable of in life. It can even be more extreme I tell you, it can be more explicit than the lyrics of Nicky Manage. And my god, some of the definitions body parts fly off, all the building engines, flower on the blood, and sometimes, of course, it's Michael Jackson. Oh look, there's also a time map.
Good to see those 100-hour work weeks paid off, eh?
Disclaimer, cheer up everybody, this was just a joke. I need to respect every single hour of sweat and tears away from playing the team and every person involved. However, I do think it's completely unrealistic and dangerous work within the head of a company should never boast about, and I really, really hope that people are working conversation with some people guys are going to get people start to go, yeah, to be serious for just a second though, yes, the game is not about collection, but as far as my concern is concerned, I didn't find absolutely anything aside from like
It's time for the Empire Central Radio News Break. And guess who? Rock and Ricky Fox. Nazi army? No, none of them please get this. Just like you see on TV. Right to a magnetic pole. At a later time. Let's make some stuff out there. So, researchers are excited about the possibility of making
go on holiday to Bahamas.
are minimal at best.
I didn't catch another bug when I was trying to rock, but instead of doing that, Arthur decided it was a perfect idea to ignore that rock, leap like a lord over the bloody thing, and stick to the wall nearby, which then got me shot in the head. Thanks, game. Also, there was this one mission where I was escaping enemies down waterfall rapids, and my god, for how fabulous the rest of the game looks, what the Jesus Christing hell is going on with this water?
If I let you buy something, will you leave?
Come on, guys, what is this?
Anything else I can do for you?
This hot dog sausage with googly eyes looks more like a snake than that looks like water.
Ah, agora estou limpo, bora ver a reação dele.
Gameplay is great stuff too. Nothing mind-blowing or that different if you've played a Rockstar game before. Shooting guns feels really damn good. Contributes so much to the atmosphere, the story, the conversations, so well. These are just the main ingredients of the game, though, because there is so much to do in Red Dead Redemption 2. So much, in fact, that even if some are simple mechanically, they contribute so well to the plot, simulation aspect, or atmosphere, I found them all entertaining no matter what. And I swear to the Lord that at least 3 hours of my playtime was just patting this dog over and over again, because look at his tail go!
Hey, Vito, you made it.
Hey, Eddie.
Oh, nice threads.
Thanks. So, what's the plan, fellas? What's with the suits?
Vito, Mr. Falcone's gonna bring us into the family tonight. You and me. We're gonna be made.
Oh, shit. Tonight?
Yeah.
Really? Why didn't you tell me before? What do we gotta do?
You'll find out. But first, there's somebody who'd like to have a little word with you.
Leo, good to see you. What are you doing here?
Hey, kiddo. Want to talk to you about what's gonna happen today. Come here, have a seat.
All right. Sure. And hey, thanks again for doing whatever you did to get me out of the can early.
Now I make good on my second promise to you.
Second promise?
Yeah. I told you the next time we opened the books, we'd recommend you, didn't I? And now it's done.
You had something to do with this? But you worked for Frank Vinci.
Yeah. I would have liked to have had you in our family. But I figured Joe there's your best friend. You guys grew up together. Just like me and Frank. Since Joe was working for Carlo the whole time you were inside, I recommended they take you in too when he got made.
Thanks, Leo. I don't know what to say.
You don't gotta say nothing. Not to me or anybody else. That's kind of the way this whole thing works, Vito.
Yeah.
Now, come on. We don't want to keep him waiting. All right. I'll see you fellas upstairs.
What was that all about?
Nah, nothing. Just, talking about old times.
Like that time.
Uhum. Olha, se a gente for.
Listen to me, Phil.
Se a gente for lá todos sujos, obrigam-nos a ir comprar roupas luxuosas. Só que agora, como eu vim limpo, eles simplesmente ignoram essa parte bem fixe. Tipo, temos aqui algumas escolhas, mas é coisa. Ainda vai dar ao mesmo. Ok, pronto, agora vamos skipar. Roll. Roll.
Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? Not you, Stan. No, you're not good. You're not in Red Dead Redemption 2. How good could you possibly be? There's hunting in the game where you can just kill things while on your way to the next destination for food, or slowly stealth around and track their prints to grab rarer animals for more money at butchers, and even legendary animal hunting for some of the best prices and equipment. Be forewarned though, they can not only fight back and give you some incredibly tense moments, but also need to be taken down as gently as possible for the best possible carcass or fur quality. So you're talking bows and arrows instead of shotguns, which is a lot harder to do, but the rewards are worth it. And if you aren't that quick with doing whatever you want to with the body, it will eventually rot and be of no use to anybody. And you can skin them, I suppose, but that's just... Ew. You can get attacked by rival gangs when out and about, some of whom don't even have time to recognize you if you run by fast enough. And if you end up getting killed by them and having legendary animal pelts or something else stolen from you, that makes you feel so low I can't even possibly describe it. There are other strangers in the wilderness to run into, though, and you can try talking to them, but sometimes you'll just upset them, so you can either rob them, carry on, or kill them, whatever you want to do. Some strangers are being attacked by animals, and if you don't come and save them quick enough, they'll actually refuse the medicine you give them, leaving you no choice but to put them out of their misery. You'll be going along, you'll find random people in random situations all the time. Some will be friendly and give you a quick hello, or maybe even clue you in on a secret for something. Others are just other people in your position that don't want you getting involved in their shit. Some call you over because they found a load of harvesting material to share with you, or you can rob them and kill them and take all of their stuff, but I felt too bad doing that, so I didn't. I'm a very nice animal. Some people are even being taken in by the law and claimed to be wrongfully arrested, but it's up to you whether to question them, question the guards, or break them out. And everything you do has consequences to your honor meter, affecting tons of things from prices of shops, body looting, like to operate, and even types of gear to operate. But a lot of the time you can get away with naughty stuff. Just make sure that you first equip the bandana to hide your identity. Very important. And don't forget to unequip it either. Good lord, that upsets people. And hide the bodies that you're done with. After you've done all of this stuff, you'll be fine. Don't feel too bad for these people though, because you know what they say. Also, you see that train there? Bet your hairy ass you can go for it, ride alongside it, jump on board and have a go at robbing it before it takes you to the next station. And whatever you do, make sure the guards see you. Because when that happens, you most likely aren't getting away with anything, and you'll just keep lining up the bounty. The more people die as the train is stopped by the police. And if the passengers don't want to give you their money, either beat them up or draw your weapon out of them to persuade them. Yeah, very influential on that. There's also maintenance mechanics too, not just with things like buying additional parts to your gun, customizing their look, and upgrading their attributes. But with things like making sure the guns you use on frequently are kept spick and span with gun oil so that their performance is always up to scratch. And you need to look after your own horse, it's separate stamina and health calls, calming it down when it's stressed, rushing it when it's dirty, and even just patting it whenever you pitch it outside a building. Which sounds tedious, but this horse I ended up falling in love with. Oh god, no, not in that way, you disgusting twat. I mean more in a companion sort of way. This horse, if you look after it and unlock all the moves for it, through bonding, will become your best friend. And I named my horse Philippe, because that is a good name for a horse. He or she stores all of your equipment in the saddle, looks after your weapon, saves your passport, but once you carry people and animals in life, follows you like a loyal best friend, you really get connected to them. And when I was attacked by that bastard O'Driscoll gang in the canyons that one time, they ended up nearly slaughtering my beloved horse that I spent hours and hours bonding with, and I just so happened to have sold my only horse revival medicine right before leaving town. So do you know what I did? I panicked and ran all the way back to the town that I was already wanted in, paid back my bounty at the post office, grabbed the tonics that I needed, and got back as quick as I could, all the while my horse was dying and nearly blinking out of existence. This whole process took a long time and tons of stamina medication because I was that connected to But that's how desperate the whole situation made me. I haven't been this stressed in a non-horror game in my whole life, and I'll never forget the experience because of that. And hey, want to talk about stress? How about this mission in particular when you're helping out the Native Americans? One of my teammates kept dying and failing the mission in the exact same place over and over again for no real reason at all, and I had to redo minutes worth of gunfights about 6 times before I could carry on. I don't know what happened here, but screw this entire bit. I'm going off topic though, there's more stuff to do. You can try and defuse fights from people in the streets to avoid getting bounties for unarmed assault. You can buy things legally, hold cashiers up at gunpoint, and when making particular house robberies, you can even keep one person in the area alive to threaten the secrets of their house out of them and where they keep treasures. Or if you don't trust them running off to tell the police, you can just kill them. You don't just jump onto trains for robberies, but other vehicles and coaches too to contribute funds to your build or to upgrade it, which isn't cheap, but always gives you a safe backup for ammo and items in case you die and
Just
get
don't go busting it up.
I know this is going to sound
Wait
really weird.
This is our getaway car. Plus, I'm pretty sure that explosives and car crashes don't go together.
Explosives?
It doesn't half make you feel bad.
Yeah,
Those
a little fireworks show.
make you go through
Forget you heard that. Going to the Empire Arms Hotel. Park in the underground parking lot.
And there was this one
Use the
homestead
back
I accidentally ended up robbing while I was just looking around the area. I know,
What is this, the Indianapolis Speedway?
I heard a nasty
What do you got, an aversion to red lights?
Outside, so I thought I'd make my way in to see what was going on.
What are you trying to kill us?
I found Danaros, so I passed his house and got the father
Relax,
shooting
will you?
So out of instinct, I shot him right back and realized I just made this poor guy an orphan. But like, I was already here, so I figured, hey, why not? Let's threaten the sun so he can tell me if any treasure is around, and luckily there was.
fellas,
So it wasn't
come on, tell me.
nothing at
Let's
least,
go
but
down to the
God
hotel,
damn it,
huh?
I felt so
Huh, come on.
after this, I
What are you
seriously
writing
need
a
to take
book?
walk with the
I already
doctor.
told you everything you need to know.
Hey, I'm
You
just
know what?
curious, you know?
I don't need
All
the
this
skills.
secrecy.
Marty,
What I'm
all
gonna
the
do
secrecy's
instead, I'm
important.
gonna shoot this guy in the
The less
head
you
after I
know,
nearly
the better
died
off
doing
you
a
are.
favor for him,
And if you
it turned out
keep
he was
asking
just a disgusting
questions,
slave
I'm
trader.
just gonna have to find somebody else to
Oh,
drive
and
us
he's on
next
fire
time.
now.
Okay,
Same
okay.
principle from the
No more
first game,
questions.
drawn images
Sure,
and clues you need to
whatever.
cross-reference with the map and world around you. And with side quests and story missions alike, you're left a lot of the time to
blow the
decide what
hotel
best
sky
course of
high,
action
huh?
is, or
Marty!
whether or not to do it
Sorry,
in the first place,
sorry.
which doesn't only affect
One
the current
more
quest,
word,
but the whole
Eddie.
story overall.
All right,
Some long-term
sorry.
aspects, the hiring
Not
of new
another
characters
one.
to your gang or killing
Cross my
them,
heart.
and even the way the ending plays.
All right,
There's
here's the
new
hotel.
cinematic camera
The
mode
entrance
as
to
well.
the
It gives you
garage
very
is on the
good
other
shots
side.
that auto drives your horse when you need it to. And yeah, it isn't the most useful game mechanic ever implemented ever, but I do like how it's there if you want to use it. It once again really contributes to the atmosphere. And the first
Park
person
in
was
there.
actually
And
kind of a
hey,
shock to me.
we
that I
gotta leave all our
accidentally
guns in the
discovered,
car.
and
The last thing we need is one of Clementi's goons searching us and finding it.
Third person if you prefer it. There's different animations, it plays very differently, and more importantly, it changes how you move around the game.
All
since
right,
like,
Vito and
in the
me,
game,
you'll go in and do what
walking
needs
and
to
running
be
in
done.
third person
You
were
wait
a little
for us
bit
here.
off. Not
You hear a
terrible,
big
and it didn't
boom,
bother me at
stop.
any point, but it wasn't the best. Your walking speed is really damn slow a lot of the time. And even though sprinting has its uses, your jogging speed can often be too damn fast, and it gets you into trouble with bumping into people and such.
Ah,
There's no
shit,
decent
it's
fast
closed.
walk or middle
The idiot
ground
was
speed
supposed to
to
leave it
jogging that I
open.
found really strange. First person mode fixes that entirely, but like I said, I rarely used it. It was just really cool to see it implemented in the game. Speaking of bumping into people though, you don't even need to aim your gun to get people riled up. And remember to holster your guns unless you plan to use them. Just having them out makes some people on edge. And you could be reported for doing things even like self-defense because after all, you are the one that looks like the outlaw, so what else would people think is going on? All of this not only adds once again to the immersion, but equally ties into the themes of the end of the Wild West and how people's sensibilities
Look,
are
I'm really
shifting,
sorry I
and
couldn't get
tolerance
here
is dropping
sooner.
for people like
Another
you.
minute,
And though
you
that's
would have been
ultimately
late
a
to your
good
own
thing,
damn
it does mean
funeral.
all the odds are
Sorry,
against you,
I
and you
was-
feel this
All right,
pressure from the
enough.
world around
Just
you
get the hell
to
out of
give
here.
up and move on. But fighting through is the point of the game. You've got the people
See?
you love to
I got it
look
all
after,
under
so you don't
control.
have any
Come on,
other
let's go
choice.
pick
And
up
you
our
can do this.
uniforms.
Oh, and how about this? Yeah, you can rob shops at gunpoint whenever you'd like, but then sometimes you can discover secret, shady back alley dealings in the same buildings, and then try
Vito.
to use that to blackmail the cashier into letting you into the back
Let's
room
go.
to clear out the scum and steal whatever they were hiding. And yeah, the bounty you get for doing all of this may be insane if you mess it up and it all ends really
up this
badly,
fucking
but the
mess, you
rewards are often
idiots.
very much worth it. And the amazing thing is that most of
Clean
what
this
you
shit
do in
up,
the game
will
is
you?
purely
Somebody's gonna
satisfying
slip
just
and break
on its
their neck.
own. There's no skill trees, no doing things for the sake of XP.
All
New
right,
strangers
come
and
on.
missions don't flash
Let's
up
get
with
up there before he gets back.
Objective with a huge garish marker superimposed on the game world. You play the game at your own pace, and everything can benefit or cost you depending on how you play. Your health, stamina, and Deadeye levels upgrade naturally as you play, with more rewards based on how much you experiment. Health, for instance, is upgraded by using
Haven't seen
combat
Henry in a
methods
while.
like explosives, or
Hasn't
getting
changed a
right up in
bit.
the enemy's
Yeah.
or even going
Hope he don't
fishing.
come back before we do our
The more you
thing.
sprint, the more your
Henry's good
stamina will
people,
go up.
even if he
Deadeye
does
in
work for
particular, I
Clemente.
found that really
Yeah, but
good,
what if he
because as
does?
long as you have the
Don't
tonic
even
to
think
fill it
about that.
constantly,
I feel like
it
an
can be a
idiot
bit of
with
a
this thing
gate
on my
breaker
lip.
with how useful it is.
Yeah?
But in
Well, what
order
if
to
we
make
run
it
into
last
somebody
longer,
we
which
know?
will massively help with the
This
big
way,
gunfights
they
in the later
won't
part of the
recognize
story,
us.
you need to get better at
Fucking hope
headshots
so.
and general shooting without touching it to slowly build it up. Essentially, the less you rely on the Deadeye, the better
Where the
version
hell
you'll
you guys
get of
been?
it in the future when
Somebody
you really need it.
spilled
And I found
something
that
in the
really
conference
smart.
room.
And by doing in-game challenges such as hunting particular animals, using particular weapons, or picking
This
particular
ain't gonna
guns, etc.,
ask
you
what
also
it
unlock the
is
choice to buy new equipment
or how it
upgrades
got
for your guns
there.
to increase ammo capacity
You're just
and let your
gonna
guns
clean it
last
up.
longer before cleaning. And
This
this
is
all
big
means
meat
that you can
stuff,
get a
this.
really bloody good
And the
setup
boss
to
ain't
last
gonna
through
be
the
too
earliest
happy
moments of the
if the
story,
place
as long as
ain't
you're smart enough to
spark
get
on by
funds
then.
and just
So
explore
if you know
around.
what's good
Upgrading
for
your camp not only
you'll
lets
get
you
the
access
place
a safe haven
spick and
for ammo and
span
provisions, but
and
even
then get the
extends to the
fuck out
ability
of
to
here.
fast travel from the camp and even call your horse back to the stables no matter how far away it is from you. And seeing
These
your
two are
camp
here to
grow
clean
and
up
the people
the,
you care about actually grateful for your
mess.
help as you jump around the
The
country
mess?
without a single place to call home really gave me a warm,
that
tingly
mess.
feeling.
All right,
Which
come
then
on,
has its
little dude.
downsides because when members of your gang then get attacked by other gangs,
Bora
or
limpar
One of the
spotted, or
guys
shenanigans
who
happen,
a
have any
sujidade.
gameplay implications, but the impact of the characters
tripped
being
him
attacked
fat.
and the whole
The poor
camp
guy
slightly
hit his
affected
head
by what's
pretty
going
hard.
on. The vibe of the camp changes
5 or 6
slowly throughout the game
times.
beautifully.
So
And once
now
you do that
there's
Sans
blood
Denis
all
bank
over the
robbery
fucking
mission that
place.
goes horribly wrong at the
And we
midway
got a
point of the
meeting
game,
we're
only to lose a
supposed to start
massive
soon.
chunk of your team.
So you
spent the
gotta
whole
get
game
this
doing
shit
missions
cleaned
with and
up,
getting to know
and
and
you
love,
gotta make
which
it
then
snap.
ripples off into you losing the camp that you spent God knows how long investing into, and
Fucking
if you losing your horse
pricks.
all at the same time,
Hey,
you
calm down, will
really
ya?
feel that sting. And
We're
that's
not
when
gonna
one of
be
those
around to
vocal
bother
tracks
you
on
much
decides to
longer.
play once you come back from your escape from that robbery after you
Yeah.
accidentally end up in Guam and
Give me a
the
hand
escape
here.
ship you were on capsized. See, this kind of thing actually makes me feel an impact of losing what I've built in a story. And with how the story unfolds, things get even more tender once you rebuild the broken remnants of your camp, but slowly start losing the abilities to grab
Yeah, looks
ammo,
like you're done.
medicine, and provisions from your camp
Alright,
as
let's
easily
get
as
out
you
of
did
here.
before once everyone starts leaving to save their own lives and nobody trusts each other anymore. This
Okay,
means that instead of
now let's get to the
investing into
roof.
camp to fall back on supply topping up, you then find yourself doing more unsavory things out in the world just to get more money just to survive and keep your horse healthy. But you don't feel good about it, and neither
That's
does I.
Clemente.
Is everybody ready for me to go
We could take him out right now.
Because I'm going
If
to
we
go
had a gun.
negative. For as great as I found Red
Yeah,
Dead
we'd be
Redemption 2
dead in
to
2
be,
seconds.
I must admit,
Just take it
it
easy
has
and
one of the
stick
most
to the
stale,
plan.
boring, and perplexing beginnings to a game I think I've ever played. This game may have completely sucked me into the world and outlaw lifestyle for dozens of hours, but hot damn does it take a long time to actually get there. At first I was a little bummed out that we didn't start the game off with the
I ain't
job in
used to this
Blackwater
much
that went horribly
exercise.
wrong and that kicks off the events of the game, which
Why
was
do they gotta
apparently
put so many
bad that
fucking
nobody shut
stairs?
up about it. But once I tried to get my head around the controls,
Vito.
I totally understood why the start was so slow. Now here's the thing, I play games with controllers 24/7.
what the fuck are you
I
doing
never
here?
use
Get
keyboards
lost.
on my PC.
Going in.
That's
the fucking best you got.
Oh, you're in trouble.
What are you scared, asshole? Let's go, Vito.
They
teach you that in the army?
I'm eternally grateful for the huge amount of settings and things to tweak for a console game. And even after getting my ideal settings after a good hour of fiddling, it still didn't feel as good as it could be until I took 3 hours. I turned free aim mode on, aim assist off, set the acceleration on default, turned down the sensitivity a tad, and removed the dead zone from the analog sticks entirely, and that made it fine, but that was all it ever was to me. Fine. And once I got used to it, I loved the gunfights. So they could do things like shooting people in particular places in order to trip up other horses around me. That felt great. Plus I became a speed freak with the Deadeye free shooting.
Going in.
But I couldn't jump into it, and
Is
it
that
felt
the fucking
really
best you
sluggish.
got? Oh,
Maybe it's the 30 FPS or something. I don't know. In my opinion, it could have been much
I won't want to get on
Uncharted
your
4
bed,
did
son.
absolutely fine. I don't get what happened here. Also, the context-sensitive action seemed extremely all
You're
over the place.
fucking dead.
And again, once I got used to it, I was absolutely fine with it and was able to rely on muscle memory. But to start off with, talk about using mess, picking up things off the floor and over chests and drawers to then pick up things inside the chest or drawers, change them to press and hold,
another one bites the
or square button.
Come on, think of something. Hurry up here.
Menus like your satchel require holding another button, while the map requires holding another button, but only if you have
Be careful, there might be more
tapping the same button, or while making sure there isn't any other prompt on screen to look up the descriptions of things by holding that same button. There was one moment that I was in a train gunfight and a friend got caught, but instead of me just aiming at the enemy when I swear I had my gun already equipped, I instead just stared at the enemy, and then what usually is the firing button to keep a quick weapon. This happened again in a late game mission. I tell you, this entire
Let's go, Vito.
intro down even more than what it already is, with the whole slow, painful trudge through the snow and all the story missions that deliberately lock out mechanics and abilities. For instance, showing you how to hunt while on the move, but then not allowing you to equip any weapon or hunt any animal in a mission following right after it. I mean, damn, it's brilliant learning about the characters and getting wrapped up in the world, but it's at the expense of teaching me fun mechanics and then taking them away from me until a certain point in the story where it then decides to open up. And yes, in comparison to the rest of the brilliant stuff to observe how many hours I loved it, this was a tiny percentage of my time away from it. Better after the first few hours, but that's the very new the game is 18, I'm an adult, I can live with my own mistakes, so why can't the intro at least let me experiment a little bit so I can get used to the controls in my own comfort? I am in an outlaw gang after all.
That takes care of that.
I hope nobody heard us up here.
Nah, buildings like this got soundproof windows. I was so high up, nobody on the street could have heard us me. Come on, let's get to the window.
Start going from convoluted and restrictive to very slowly brilliant. You start getting quests that don't just move the story along, but also unlock more weapons and items to play with for use whenever you want from that part of the game onwards. And many of the quests are deliriously entertaining in terms of what happens in them. There's a brilliant moment when you're tasked to take out your mate Lenny to the saloon and get him wasted so he can cope with all that's been going on. Then you end up getting so wasted that you don't just end up wandering around looking for him screaming like an ogre. But then you get so drunk that you start to think everybody around you is Lenny, leaving you to just randomly annoy people until you find out where he is. There's a quest where you have to save one of your gang members, a priest who is constantly wasted.
Okay, don't shoot. I'll do whatever you say.
All right, put your hands behind your back. It ain't gonna hurt you.
Train tracks on a bridge over a canyon. There's a quest where you need to pretend to be a brain-dead farming idiot who killed his own mother in order for you to waste a load of stolen bourbon at a saloon.
Here's some tape. Tie him up.
People that you stole from. And now that I think about it, many of them might have missions usually involve some kind of alcohol. There's a quest where you book yourself a hot air balloon with this adorably hapless
Everybody else
pilot
got
and then
shot.
convince him as a customer to take you to a prison island so that you can spy on a captured John Marston, followed by you getting caught again and then having a gunfight during the balloon ride. Look at how ridiculous this is.
Okay, get on. We got work to do.
Gang is walking in a badass line formation ready to shoot up a house for everything they put your friends through. Look at this. If you weren't sure about how serious we were about killing people, this proves it. I know it's cliche for Wild West, but it's just
How much wire you got?
And you had better be ready to shoot down every single
How much
person in
is
that mission in
enough?
particular, because
Will it reach
when
up to
you're
the
in a
roof?
gang of outlaws, you know
Of
what
course
they
not.
say.
We'll just go up 1 or 2 floors and blow.
So much for you being smart.
Few story missions restrict access to certain weapons and things, which is a little
crazy.
lame, but I get it. Because
What if
it's
the
mostly
explosion
just
takes us out,
story
too?
mission, and you need to
won't.
chronically follow
You'll
the
barely
orders of
feel
your
it.
gang. But there is one mission
Better
here where no joke,
fall
you're
off this
stuck
thing,
on a
you're gonna be
stage
dead
coach
before
for
we hit the
minutes
ground.
and minutes while you can't do anything other than sit there and move the camera and wait. And good Christ almighty, it's so slow. You can't even jump
É, imagina que dava para mandar
This is
coisa,
right
eu
here.
queria.
Something else I wasn't fond of. What was going on with the weapons?
Vito, grab the squeegee and start washing windows so we don't look suspicious. I gotta connect the wires.
You need them, along with only carrying a few guns on your person at once. Again, it was immersive. It sucked me into the world. But I swear that multiple times I'd equip certain weapons only to have
Ó, sou tão bom que eu estou a limpar o móvel de fora. Do lado de fora estou a limpar o móvel. Ui.
After leaving my horse after a few ride, after gunfights, I couldn't figure it out. I wasn't sure if this was because I was getting weapons shot off of my back in the middle of
You
fights,
sure
or
made one hell of a mess.
Yeah, but it wasn't enough. Move it.
I don't know, but I mean, I don't want you guys to think this is like a broken mechanic or something. It only happened on the occasion.
Do anything. So watered down
You
is
guys
my
figure any
deed.
of this out? Are
It's
you
fucking over. Man,
Xbox,
show
or are you having the
yourself.
same issues on PS4? Please
Watch
tell
out.
me you guys can't work this shit out.
Going in. Get that gun. Out of your hole, you fucking rat. Oh, easy. That's not your move. Come on, think of something. Hurry up. I won't want to get on your bad side.
So far, I can't talk right now. I'm sorry.
One time I was looking for gunshots, so I ran off to see what it turned out to be a man.
I'm the best.
Instead of getting to talk to him and join in possibly, he knocked all of the cans over, which pissed him off and caused him to leave. And many other things happened during my playtime that unfortunately I wasn't able to record. There was one time a man couldn't calm his horse. Every time I ran over to help him, he was kicked in the back of the head and died. There was a prospector that didn't like me standing behind him, thinking I was looking at his gold, and after a few warnings, even though I never
Take the other door,
he
Vito.
started
I got the
trying to
right
beat me
side.
up. I even found a guy who betted me money that he was a better shot than me with killing flying birds. And when I figured out I wasn't allowed to use the dead eye during this bet and didn't hit a single bird, I felt kind of cheated out. So when he asked for his money, I didn't give it to him and I shot him in the head instead. And how can I not talk about this game without mentioning the ending portion? Don't worry guys, I'm not spoiling it. Get to the ending portion or how it ties into everything.
The sprinklers are going off.
Really? Because I thought it was raining.
My God, if there was an award for longest epilogue to anything ever, I think that
There's
the ending
more
of
of
Red
them
Dead
coming.
Redemption
Come
2
on,
4 hours
assholes.
with John
I'm
Marston
waiting
definitely
for it.
takes the
3,
cake. Okay, to be fair, I'm in two minds about this. Firstly, I wasn't sure about this ending because it does go on for a long
Get out of there, ladies. We ain't got nothing against you.
The rest of the flow of the gameplay that you just finished, it may end up fatiguing you, especially after jumping from one character to another. And it only means anything to you if you played and enjoyed Red
Next time,
Dead
bring a
once.
bigger
It
bomb,
directly
will you?
links in with
Hey,
that game.
how the
In
fuck was I
context of this
supposed to
game,
know
all
Clemente
inside
would be in
the
a
very
bed?
end of the end, it does kind of just exist.
He wouldn't have
It
been if
sticks
the
out.
bomb didn't go
On the
off
other hand,
earlier.
though, I love
Don't
this ending
worry.
because the
We'll
closure
get
of the story is just as bleak as the rest of the game and doesn't really pay off anything. A fitting end in terms of the context of the story, but it doesn't feel like it ends the game that much. So having the last moments of the game follow John as he tries to make a fresh start with his family years after the events of Part 1 and figuring out how insane Dutch has gone, yeah, that is satisfying.
Back me up,
And if you
Vito.
played Red Dead 1 and
Shit,
enjoyed
another
it,
one.
this ending segment will mean everything to you in that sense. It's almost like bonus
Is that the
treatment
fucking
for
best you
your
got?
Massive great game. It's a really good way to get around the end of the story. You get attacked by people that are exactly what you were earlier on in the game, but at the same time, you are still for being a one-man man. And no matter what you do, how well you treat your family, how mundane you are,
I'm gonna get you sooner or later.
even how much debt you end up into the bank for leaving behind your dragons
Up there.
pressure. These people will never escape the and considering what happened to John and Red Dead 1, this cements the point of the bigger story at work between both
Come on,
games
let's
and makes
go.
it all the
Chop,
more
chop.
soul-crushing when reflecting on all that's transpired. So let's conclude things then, Wiser. Red Dead Redemption 2 is far from free of problems, and it does have a the middle section of the first one.
I don't want to get on your bad side.
Glad I didn't find any menu in the game that showed me how many hours total I spent in it because before I think I put myself on double medication. I was obsessed for a solid week with this game inside and out. I couldn't stop
Going
playing.
in.
Especially if you love the original Red Dead like I did, you owe it to yourself to pick this one. I don't think as a whole it's better than the original purely because the theme of, you know, redemption, which is in the title, is much stronger in the original game. But the second succeeds in so many other ways that I can't say I enjoyed it less either. Well, that depends on what you're looking for. If you want a solid and grounded third-person action-adventure game with a setting, but with a better pace to its story and
Come on, Barney's out there all alone.
then you go with the original game. But if you want one of the most atmospheric, beautiful, and deeply detailed video game worlds, with the same fantastic action and intense scenes, but with a group of
It's
great
fucking
characters,
over.
you go with the second one. Whatever floats your boat, I suppose. Get ready for a lot of this.
We gotta help Barney.
E Mártir morreu.
You think it's over? Wrong, assholes. All right, there's two of them. They split up. Make sure you follow Clemente, not the other guy.
I know how to drive, all right? Just be ready with the gun.
Don't worry about that. Just follow Clemente. He's in the Black River.
Hey, Joe, I got eyes too, you know?
I'd like to thank you for
There goes one of them.
Nice job.
Clemente's next.
Ever done, but you
You're fucking dead.
And I also sponsors for today's episode. Hims is an online
Step on
wellness
it,
service
Vito.
specifically
I'm trying, Joe.
to provide easier
Be careful, Vito.
allowing men to deal with a few more embarrassing issues that men all over the world do deal with on a daily basis. Everything from acne to hair loss, like this here, the shampoo, and even stuff like down
Bastard.
if you know what I mean. And I'm sure you know what I mean, guys, when I say that, yeah, you can get some really embarrassing problems, but they are more normal than you think, and that's why I'm so happy that a service like this exists. So you just need to be be able to take the first step, so why not give him a go? They're a trusted destination for all kinds of medical guidance, from non-prescription to prescription-based supplies and stuff like that. And you also can get recommendations from trusted doctors on the service after you just fill in a quick medical evaluation. After which there are your home address. Thank you again to HIMS for sponsoring today's video. Please go to the link in the description below, near the top of the description, to get your complete hair kit. A month's trial of the complete hair kit for $5. That is an insanely good deal. And if it works for you, then keep it going. That would be fantastic. I would like to think that I've helped out a couple of people today. And special thanks as well to all the people on the screen right now who support me via Patreon. And of course, as
that's the end of him. Can't be sure unless we check. This is for Marty.
Daniel Leon, DC Dungeon Master, Kenny, Jake Delahaye 2008, Mitchell Reed, and A.E. Thornton Smith. Thank you so much, every single one of those people.
Doesn't like your hat.
This hat is very, very fancy, I'll have you know, dog. Dead Redemption, as far as I'm concerned, made me forget the lines. And I say this... Oh, shut up. I mean, I wouldn't take what I say that...
This segment of Empire Classic Radio to bring you an important news bulletin.
This is actually really hard.
Some explosion has rocked the Empire Arms Hotel in Midtown. The fire and smoke can be seen from blocks around. Authorities are still not sure what or who caused the explosion, but are advising residents and people near the Empire Arms Hotel to stay clear until police and fire officials have deemed it safe to return.
In pursuit of a hit-and-run driver.
Massive explosion has occurred at the Empire Arms Hotel in Midtown. While full investigation cannot yet be completed, the hotel manager, one Anthony Earhart, told our reporter moments ago that he suspected that a gas leak caused the explosion. Empire Classic Radio returns you now to regular programming. I'm Gary Stevens.
VR gaming is the closest we as a species have got to either being inside a game world watching off from a distance, or literally be the characters that we know and love from their point of view, dressed in their clothes, using their make-believe tools to do unbelievable things, and that can make VR gaming seriously feel like the future when every intended element of immersion pulls you in. Oh my god, it's like I'm actually rising up. Let's get one thing straight. It ain't perfect. I know many people don't get along well with VR technology due to the motion sickness, you know, using a controller to move yourself around while you're able to look 360 degrees around you, but in reality you're standing totally still. That can really mess with your brain, and you shouldn't feel alone in reacting like that. Hell, when I first played VR, it was dread more than the original build of the Oculus Rift, and I couldn't take more than 2 steps without feeling the need to fall. Because of that, all of those articles claiming VR is the future of video games are a little insulting if you ask me. Don't feel left behind or socially exempt if you can't get on with it. VR is not for everyone, especially when you consider that the monetary bar for entry is so ridiculous that it's basically a luxury as far as video games go. So everyone spouting off how revolutionary it is clearly haven't put themselves in the shoes of the standard consumer that these products are trying to sell to. It isn't only expensive, but may not even let you use it in the first place without causing stuff.
Essas almofadas parecem aquelas que têm tipo textura poliéster.
The technology has got dramatically better to not only make the experience feel more real, but lessen the chance of
Dá grande impressão a dormir.
more real it feels. VR today tracks your head movement, tilting and leaning, allows you to go in and out of the game world itself. You know, not just look around a fixed perspective like it used to. That is what screwed me up back in the day. But even knowing that, I can't describe to you how nervous I was to finally get my hands on PlayStation.
Eu ouvi alguma coisa, mas não sei o quê.
Quality VR to the masses. I mean, especially since it was much cheaper than its competitors, surely that would mean it wasn't very good. Right? Well, today I thought I'd have a little bit of fun and dive right into the PSVR to give you my opinions of the system itself, along with a handful of games. Disclaimer, this video is not sponsored by PlayStation, and every opinion is totally my own, but I did want to let you know that Sony actually sent me a free PSVR headset on the condition that I made a video about it. They sent it to me over 2 years ago. Sorry it's late. Okay, well, first of all, let's talk about what you get with the system and for how much money. At its first release in October 2016, the system would have set you back a whopping £350, the same as the PS4 Pro. And that's without the PlayStation camera accessory that's required to use it or any games bundled with it. It may have still been cheaper than competitors back then, but God almighty, I'm glad they cut the price down, because otherwise I'd be a lot more negative. So, let's discuss the price point of it in 2019. The headset alone has gone down by a ridiculous £120, while most bundles today will net you the headset and camera along with a singular game for a much more doable £250 each. If you ask me, the best bargain is the headset, camera and 5 games for £300, but I am aware the word bargain is stretching it. Does this thing feel like an expensive, high-quality product, though? Well, in my opinion, it absolutely does, especially compared to other headsets. The PSVR's sleek and clean robotic design soft rubber cushioning to block out light, and amazingly enough, for how complex the technology inside the visor is, it's insanely light and comfortable to wear. You never feel suffocated while wearing it, since the main weight of it rests on your forehead and clings onto that dip in the back of your head that you can tighten and loosen to your heart's content. With the flexibility of the rubber as well, it means that adjusting the headset while looking through the eyepiece to get the best view and focus is extremely simple and comfortable, even with glasses on, without any instance of slipping off for me. I've tested multiple headphones with the headset, with every single one of them fitting comfortably, and the only things I really hate about this design are firstly the fact that according to multiple reports, the soft rubber part for your eyes is actually latex, causing some people to get allergic reactions, but I couldn't find a definitive source to prove what the material was, so take that lightly. And secondly, this stupid flippy floppy flap of a cable jutting out to the side. Whenever I let it loose, which is the intended idea, it scraped against my ears when I wasn't wearing headphones, meaning I had to push the cable back up its own arse in order to get it stuck into a loop that never dropped down to my ears again. Once I did this, it hasn't dropped out in the 2 years I've used it, but still, it's a confusing design choice. Within most of the games themselves, though, not only is it great for audience members, since you can see exactly what the player is seeing on the display you connected the HDMI cable to, but the display in the headset itself is extremely high quality, with only occasional instances of texture issues and popping, and the 3D effects never cease to absolutely amaze me. Made even better by the 1080p display for your eyes and to 120 frames per second smoothness to guarantee the best experience it can by using multiple hardware tricks, even for games that don't technically run higher than 60. It's confusing, don't ask me, a lot of VR boff. As long as you set up the camera at the correct height, distance, angle, and sort the lighting in your room out properly, the headset also tracks your head movements brilliantly with tilting and leaning, and even allows you to look entirely around you with the camera reading multiple light sensors covering the entirety of the device. And even if a game you play is not VR compatible, you can still play the game through the VR like you're looking at a giant screen in a virtual movie theater. So if you have parents that, hey, you just pop some headphones in, sit down and play something totally different to what everyone else is watching on the TV, and if you ever go off center at any point, just press and hold the options button on the DualShock 4 and you'll snap right back to where you're looking at that moment for maximum comfort. Not to mention, it's insultingly easy to set up when compared to other systems. You plug the headset into a box, plug the box into the PS4, HDMI from the PS4 into the box, HDMI from the box into your TV, plug in the camera, sit or stand around 1.5 to 2 meters away, and you're good to go. Despite the lower price against HTC or Oculus, consider me massively impressed with the quality of this thing, and it's even better now the price has gone down over the years. It's also worth saying that despite me being nearly sick on my friend's desktop keyboard when using the first build of Oculus for the first time, PSVR never got me anywhere near as queasy to the point that I could play for hours, probably because of the smoother performance and accurate head tracking, but I really don't know. But then, like I said, I did play the original Kickstarter build of Oculus when I was like 16 or 17, so maybe it's a combination of age and the technology being better, I don't know. But either way, PSVR, much more comfortable than that experience for me. It's also even more important to say that if you're looking to get one of these things right now, there's actually a second version of the PSVR, which I had no idea about until making this video. So the cable issue here that I mentioned, that's no longer a problem. You also don't have this dongle here that you have to use on the original model for headphone jacks and stuff. I suppose that's why the price of this thing's gone down quite a bit. So this is a great start, isn't it? I mean, it's great. What could possibly go? By the way, these are the exact same Move controllers that we used on the PS3 when the Move first came out 9 years ago. Why are these so goddamning expensive, Louis? I'm not going to pretend these things aren't good, because they really are. Extremely responsive, accurate in every degree of your hand movements, and comfortable to hold. Plus, I can't get enough of those soft squishy ends that most probably fit mostly in your bum. But aside from using these for a facial massage, the cost of these near decade-old controllers that still work from PS3 to PS4 is outright disgraceful. Imagine paying full retail price in 2019 for Alice in Wonderland on the Wii. That's how ridiculous this is. They came out the same year. Stop looking at me like that, Jonathan D. I've also heard around the block that using the original PS4 instead of the PS4 Pro with the VR has higher chances of causing sickness because of the lower quality textures and slight differences in performance, but I haven't been able to test that out. So... But with that being said, on to the games. And before I kick off with the ones I think the most of in this video, firstly I wanted to apologise for the 30 FPS 720p footage because the only way I could get footage was by recording directly from the PS4 Pro. Trust me, they were like 3 times smoother and look much better in real life. And secondly, I wanted to ease you into the world of VR lest we all begin to flop all over the floor. So to start off nice and easy, let's have a quick look at 4 games that I've either played extensively before this video or I've made reviews about, just to ease everybody in, okay? Let's go. Firstly, Doom VFR. If you played the 2016 Doom reboot, really enjoyed it, and want to see down the throat of a cacodemon, this is the game for you. Even though the story is pretty bad, it's at least tongue-in-cheek and self-aware. And honestly, what this game should have focused on was fast-paced VR action with lots of futuristic guns, Hellspawn running directly at your face, a decently long campaign for VR, and plenty of 3D gore, which this game delivered in spades. This is one of the first games I recommend people when PSVR is a subject, but if you're new to VR or get motion sick easily, be aware that this is still Doom totally unfiltered, so it's fast, aggressive, and could potentially cause bowel upset. Until Dawn Rush of Blood is another one I highly recommend for how much damn fun it is, and how it's exactly like one of those ghost trains you see at the fair, but not shit. Rush of Blood is a spin-off to Until Dawn, and weirdly enough, a first-person on-rail shooter whereby using 2 extremely well-tracked handguns, you must break targets and kill monsters throughout many different arcade stages that all look and feel totally unique from each other. It's engaging, looks really damn great, there's a downright pleasurable amount of creepy VR scares that always remain as more of a fun surprise than outright horrifying, and as a whole, it's much easier on the stomach since you're sitting still on a car. Well, except those parts where you go down a drop, it feels eerily real and your stomach may get a bit confused while your body isn't going down a slope, causing your body to overcompensate, leading to oh, hello there, friend. Do you need an aspirin? This is also the game I used to introduce my family friends to VR gaming if they like a bit of horror, and the results of these introductions can be rather hilarious. Then we have The Inpatient, another spin-off to Until Dawn, except unlike Rush of Blood, introduce my family friends to VR gaming if they like a bit of horror, and the results of these introductions can be rather hilarious. Then we have The Inpatient, another spin-off to Until Danger Ball, which is 2 words I never thought I'd see together since I found that strange lump in my pants, and just so happens to be VR Pong with your head doing the work, another good game for around 10 minutes or so. Scavenger's Odyssey, which is a 30-minute long FPS that's alright, nothing special though, pretty repetitive, but at least gives you some insane visuals when moon jumping around space rocks. Ocean Descent, which is just you doing nothing but looking around at fish from inside a cage for 10 odd minutes. You know, it's kind of like a special effects show. Oh, it's yacht! And then you get the London Heist, which even though is the same length as Scavenger's Odyssey, is easily the best demonstration and execution of the VR tech. And not only because you get to use your hands with the move controllers. The story is better, the action is more realistic and engaging, the characters feel like they're actually there with the things you can do with them, and they even react properly to the way that you move your body and arms. Don't be a bloody word. And I can't get enough of these accents, they're so comically overdone, I can't help but love these guys. Oh, I said no one was allowed up here. Right, no, and I'm on break. I've got his security passes for. Get out of here, mate! Who said that? Why the hell did you do that? Also, with your hand movements being the centre point, you can get away with doing so much shit it's borderline laughable. Hey, you aren't so scary, really, are you? Come here and let me tickle your little chin.
Cash! For the job, not the horses.
Oh, yeah? Well, I don't want your money! You want to see a magic trick, do you? Eh? Okay, watch this. Whoa, I'm a bloody wizard, mate. You can't handle me, can you? Dude, you know, you have way too much rubbish in your car. Allow me to clean up for you. There we go. Much better. So yeah, PSVR World, it's alright, it's not too bad. It is more of a glorified tech demo than anything else, but it's a damn fine tech demo with a nice mix of games. So yeah, I'm alright with it. But did you know that this game was never bundled with the system at launch and costed nearly the same amount as a AAA game on its own? What? Yes, this demo disc that gives you at most an hour worth of actual gameplay never came bundled with any PSVR at launch, and Sony felt like it was worth around 30 quid when it came out. Give me a break, guys. This is another reason why the bundles nowadays are such good value, because in comparison to the old days, they can piss right off. Okay, so at this point, before jumping into the PSVR exclusive games, it is very important to mention that there are quite a number of games that are VR compatible, meaning that you essentially get 2 games for the price of 1. You get an entire VR version and a standard version. So there's games.
Well, I guess you know Clementi's dead, along with everybody else.
Let's see how
Listen, Vito, I know Falcone had something to do with this. And I'm worried that he's going to want to take out what's left of the family.
And I should care about this, why?
Well, yeah, look. Oh, you going away? I'm sorry for
This
what
game
Clemente
is
did
downright
here.
amazing.
But he got what
I
was
mean,
coming
yeah,
to
it's still
him,
just
right?
Tetris at its
I
core
don't
with
give
no
a
majorly
rat's
good
ass about
mechanics,
that
but this is the
bastard.
best damn version of
Matter of
Tetris
fact,
I've
I
ever
worked
played.
with
Sorry,
Falcone
Tetris
just the
99,
same.
you simply
saying you
cannot
wanna join up
compare.
with
As you
us?
can see from the footage here, the game isn't
Since you
VR
work for him,
entirely,
I
but instead more
thought,
flat with
maybe...
colourful 3D particle effects
think you
flying
could put in a
around
good
you to
word
spice
for
up the
me?
psychedelic
sure.
nature of the game. When the game is booted up and it
Joe
told me
can
about
vouch
this
for you.
sensual and spiritual experience it was claiming
Thanks,
to want to give
Vito.
me, my initial reaction was,
Oh, you're
I owe you
gonna
one.
be self, aren't you?
because I mean, how could Tetris be anything more than just
So,
Tetris? Well, to put it
how's
short, for a
life?
game that
You
I was
mean
only
before
supposed
or
to play
after
for a
half the
few
guys I
minutes to
know
get
got
footage,
killed?
it ended up getting
That
me
business
stuck
at the
here for
hotel.
hours.
You wouldn't know anything about that, would you?
Out.
Got
The
no idea
atmosphere
what
of
you're
this
talking
game is out
That's
of
funny,
this world
because a buddy of
immersive,
Joe's
and
got
you
popped
have
in the
to play
parking
with
lot that
headphones.
day.
As you clear a set
I
amount
just
of
figured
lines
you
on the
two in
Tetris
on it.
bridge,
Buddy
and into a
Joe's.
brand new themed area with its
Who you
very
talking
own
about?
zen-like,
You know that fucking kid used to come into Freddy's with Joe all the time. What's his name? Mikey, Mickey, whatever the fuck his name was.
Make hard drops, do
Yeah, that's the kid. Get a voice like fucking Minnie Mouse.
Then you activate new samples for the music.
So you sure you weren't there that day?
Which got me totally
You're
connected
positive?
to the game
Put it this
and
way.
changed it into something more
Me
than
and Joe were out
Tetris,
taking
almost
care
like
of
a
something
rhythmic
for our boss
puzzle
that
game.
day. That's all I'm gonna say.
You know what? It don't matter anyway. But do me a favor, would you?
Yeah, sure.
Next time, get a better disguise than a phony fucking mustache. I saw you two pricks from a mile away.
You know what? Can we please not talk about this right now? Forever again?
Don't worry about it.
Once
Do
you
we
think,
oughta go?
oh, they must have run out of ideas for visuals, they've run out of themes, it surprises you
You ever get
5
the
minutes
feeling
later
you'd be
with
better
something
off
you
in a
never
different line of work?
expected. And
To be
it's
honest
hard to
with you,
describe, but all I can do is tell you to
not
play
really.
it. I love
This is what I am.
game. And the only thing I wasn't too
What I'm
fond
good
of
at.
were the menus,
Yeah.
since they appear on the headset
I
right
guess
on
it
the
pays
edge
a
of
hell
the
of a lot better
eyepieces,
than
and
being
anything that
fucking
goes
taxi
there is blurred,
I was
so
thinking
I
about
wasn't able to
skipping
really
town
see
after
that
that
part of the
business at the
text. Other
hotel.
than that, this
But
is
where
the
am I gonna
best
go?
Tetris and one of the most
Where am I gonna
enveloping
go?
puzzlers
That's why
I've
I
ever
came to see
played.
you.
It has that
So I was
before
your
with
last
the VR
resort,
and
huh?
some damn good
Thanks.
headphones. After this, we have the Wipeout Omega
for
Collection, a
nothing. How come you
fantastic
came to see
racing
me
game with
and
tons
not
of
Joe?
content as it
Look,
stands, but now with
Joe
nothing more than a
Sala.
free update,
But
a
I
fully
wouldn't exactly
VR
want him
compatible mode is
speaking
on
on
this
my
game,
behalf.
allowing you to play the
You know what I
entire
mean?
thing in VR. This, as a Wipeout fan since
Can't
I was a
argue with you
child,
there.
is one of the coolest things I've ever played. It's virtual reality Wipeout. What more do I need to say? I got a huge kick out of the pilot seat view, aside from the disappointing fact that your pilot itself doesn't move their arms or body like they're actually doing something. But I honestly thought the third-person view was even cooler, since I could not only freely look around the gorgeous racetracks, but also look around the bends of the tracks and vertical ramps to see where I should anticipate to steer, and could even see what enemy crafts were coming up to the sides of me to preemptively knock them away. In my opinion, though, easily the best use of this VR compatibility feature is with Re7. Not only do you get the full game on the base PS4, which is already a damn good version running at 60 FPS, but you also get a fully-fledged start-to-end VR version with head-assisted aiming, new controls, every single scare being so uncomfortably close to your face you swear you can smell their breath, and you even get to play as Rayman. Well, Ethan, you know, I wouldn't worry so much about any of this because your entire arm isn't even there. I already think that Resident Evil 7 is a tense game, but when pairing it with VR, it's another damn experience entirely. This may get old and repetitive to say, but it really does feel like you're actually there. It's frightening. And the fact it's mostly in locations completely relatable makes the horror hit even closer to home when you feel like you can reach out and touch the objects you'll often be hiding behind. It's worth saying though, if you're claustrophobic, don't bother, just play this game. I'm sad to say I couldn't get that far into the main game though, because I can only play RE7 VR in bursts. The motion sickness doesn't really affect me in this game, but when you consider that my blood rate was going through the roof when you're right there in the middle of these tense as cat scenarios, this coupled with the VR motion actually nearly forced me into a state of being sick. Yes, Resident Evil 7 nearly made me cry, and god damn did I love it. Sometimes two games for the price of one sounds like a deal too good to be true. And that's the case with Don't Knock Twice. Let me guess, we're gonna knock twice, aren't we? Well, that's wonderful. We've already broken the first rule the game is named after. I've lost all respect for it. Now, I don't mean to be a spoilsport, but as far as VR-compatible games go, this one was the worst I've ever played. Based on the story of a mother, abducted daughter, and an urban legend of an old witch, Don't Knock Twice on PSVR knocks it out the park right out the gate with some of the most unresponsive motion controls I've ever seen, a stupid system of picking up items where instead of just reaching out like most VR games let you do, you're stuck with hitting triangle to extend your arms out like the missing member of the village people in order to give yourself a brief moment to pick up the item as your hand glides past it, and the controls. Oh boy, sit yourself down and listen to this. By default, you teleport everywhere, which lots of games do. Even Doom VFR has an option that lets you do that. But here, the screen goes black every single time you move, sucking you out the atmosphere and causing headaches. Once I changed that to smooth movement, it was then I discovered you also cannot turn left. No, you didn't mishear me. You cannot turn left. There's only a button to very slowly pan to the right, so if there's a direction over to the very slight left you need to move to, tough, you need to agonizingly pace yourself in a slow circle.
Vou-vos mostrar uma forma fácil de fazer esta missão, querem ver? Quando estou à procura das bandas desenhadas não dá para fazer isto, mas ó, vou fazer.
With a toaster. So at this point I scrapped the motion controls and went with the main controller, which was a lot better, but no matter what I did, the game would not allow me to turn around notes and items I picked up around the place, making the only interactivity in this game pointless, and the first person
E assim nós vamos descer da janela.
gets locked wherever you were initially facing, even when changing
E pronto, por acaso até ganham um troféu por isto.
and reposition where you were moving, leading to instances of me feeling drunk most of the time, which is only annoying, but pretty great if you want to have a good old thrust. The VR effects are nice, the house has a terrific number of subtle creative scares, and when it works, the atmosphere is the main selling point. It can get pretty creepy, but for controls this bad, nah mate, I pass. I'm not even going to bother with the non-VR version for this
Frank,
one.
what happened? Sure I am. But don't worry, I ain't gonna mention your name.
I'm mining. Okay, so let's start moving on to the completely VR-built game, shall we? Starting with Fruit Ninja VR. Well, have you ever played Fruit Ninja before on touchscreen devices? Great, because this is exactly the same thing, but now you get to play it in VR with your very own samurai sword, I'll have you know. Honestly, I'm amazed by the responsiveness to the controls here. Not only does it feel really good to swipe through the juicy stuff, but you can even use the blade in different ways, exactly how you'd expect, depending on the edge of the blade you use and how gentle you are. This is impressive tech here. Much smoother than the original iPhone and Android games. At the end of the day, though, yeah, it's fun, it's satisfying, it's addictive, it looks cool, but it's just Fruit Ninja at a premium price for the sake of the VR. It's fine for a few minutes, but only makes you wish you were playing a Star Wars VR game instead. By the way, I know there is an excellent VR mission in Star Wars Battlefront on PS4, but that game is poo-poo and I'm not rebuying it for the sake of one VR mission. Thanks!
Just to buy it over
Move on to the next game then. Where did I put it?
Enjoy your vacation, old man.
Christ, I thought I got away from you.
Pronto, foi isso.
Giving it to me means you'll leave me alone, but let's have it. Leave. I've got a question for you. Have you ever wanted to see Bruce Wayne's parents get shot in VR from the point of view of a child? Because that's Batman Arkham VR. In all seriousness though, wow, this game looks spectacular. There's so much detail and depth all around you that you actually feel like Gotham is right there for you to touch. But if you have a problem with heights, yeah, don't play this because you'll throw. But the game itself, well, it's extremely easy and an experience more than anything else, since you only get to teleport to predetermined locations and solve puzzles in extremely linear ways. But being able to look down at your utility belt, grab a back gadget from your hips and use it, that makes it all worth it. And I totally lost my shit when you finally get all of your gear on, look in this mirror and see that Batman is mirroring your movements exactly. I am him. I mean, like, what? That's hidden cheese. There's mysteries to solve with scanning the environment and playing crimes back, almost escape room-esque sequences that test your perception of the environment, times where you fling a batarang wherever you want to. It's kind of restricted, yeah, but it is pretty cool, I won't lie. The game recommends you stand up while you play, and I'm in full agreement on that, so make sure the PS camera is above the TV, because if you sit down, not only does your belt go so high up your chest you'll never find your back nipped, but also because the game expects you to fully turn your body around more than once, move in and out of multiple places to press buttons and pull switches, and also because I couldn't for the life of me grab this key from Alfred because my controller kept going out of range when I was sitting down. Shut up, Alfred, I'm trying! Oh, finally I picked it. Oh, what? Oh, damn you, Alfred! Did you also know that the penguin is made of steel? One of my boys comes back. Because he is. The only major disappointment of the game, though, is the fact that it only lasts you one single hour and costed me more money than PSVR Worlds did. I mean, at least PSVR Worlds has replayability to the minigames, but this is an insulting price for such a little game on offer here. It's not even that life-changing where length no longer is an issue. So if you're interested, wait for a big price drop. I say if it were free, it was underselling itself because it is genuinely very impressive and fun, but this is way too much for the package. You thought Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes was bad? Well, at least Ground Zeroes had a lady in it with floating mossy garden. And speaking of mossy gardens, here's Moss. So I know this sounds crazy and all, but I think this may be one of the best VR games I've ever played. Not because it's mechanically amazing or mind-blowingly epic, but because it uses the VR in one of the most charming ways I've ever seen that elevates the game into pure magic. Moss is an action puzzle platformer, and it reminds me a lot of Tearaway, actually. You know, taking a rather simple platformer, all things considered, but allowing you as a person to be one of the characters within the game world instead of just an observer, and then allowing you to break the fourth wall, so to speak, with the technology on offer to make for some adorably creative puzzles and platforming challenges. This is essentially the VR version of Tearaway, and by peeping around the corners of environments for secrets and grabbing objects and enemies within the game world physically with your controller, while at the same time moving, jumping and fighting your way through a 3D pop-up storybook aesthetic bustling with tiny little life, makes this one of the most memorable and vibrant fantasy worlds in gaming history. And your main character, Quill, she totally sells it on her own. Not only is she monstrously cute and you can pet her, but she even uses sign language towards your character and therefore the player in order to include practically anyone looking to get into VR gaming in a nice and relaxing way. You also only really end up using 3 action buttons in total for grabbing with the controller with the trigger, jumping, attacking and dodging the Quill.
Pessoal, bora reiniciar de novo, bora para a parte 4.
And logic, physics and timing puzzles are engaging but not really that taxing, yet it really doesn't need to be. This is the ultimate VR beginner's game as far as I'm concerned. And even if you are a VR veteran, you need